Welcome to Navigating the Eon of Marketing, the podcast where we break down the strategies, tools, and insights you need to grow your business in today's fast-changing digital landscape. Today, we're tackling a topic that, well, frankly, many marketers overlook until it's way too late: copyright, licensing, and usage rights in media production. This deep dive is really all about giving you the shortcut to being well-informed. We've got some surprising facts, maybe just enough humor to keep you hooked. Our mission today is to equip you with the knowledge to protect your brand, create with confidence, and truly understand the legal landscape that underpins pretty much all digital content. Now, let's start with a scenario I bet many of you listening have found yourselves in. Think about that time you needed an image for a blog post, right? Or maybe a quick background track for a social media reel. Or, a catchy video clip to inject some energy into a campaign. Did you just do a quick Google search? Maybe download something from one of those free sites without really reading the fine print. If you're nodding along, you are definitely not alone. It's a really common marketing practice.
But here's the kicker. What seems like a harmless shortcut can actually expose your business to some pretty significant and often kind of hidden risks.
That's precisely why this deep dive is so vital. We often think of copyright infringement as, this dry, abstract legal thing, something that only happens to, big corporations. But for marketers, it's a very real and immediate brand reputation risk. And the consequences, they can be surprisingly severe. Beyond the immediate legal battles and fines, which, can easily run into thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, there's the long-term damage. Imagine having a major campaign pulled mid-flight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not just costing you money, but also wasting months of work, damaging your carefully crafted brand image, and potentially eroding customer trust. It's a trap many fall into, often without fully grasping the cascading implication.
Wow, eroding customer trust.
Yeah.
There's a consequence many might not immediately connect. So it's not just about paying a fine then, is it?
Not at all.
It's about the very foundation of how your audience perceives your authenticity, your reliability. Don't worry, though. Our goal today is to cut through that complexity. By the end of this conversation, you'll have a clear, actionable understanding of how to protect your business, create engaging content with complete confidence, and always stay on the right side of what can feel like a really tricky legal landscape. Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's start with the foundation. What copyright really means. It's a term we hear constantly, right? But do we truly grasp its fundamental definition and implications, especially in our, globally connected digital world?
It's an excellent place to begin. At its heart, copyright is a legal protection. It essentially grants the creator or the owner the exclusive right to control how their original work is used. Now, while the Copyright Act of 1976 is foundational here in the U.S., it's important to remember these principles are largely mirrored globally. Think international treaties like the Brunei Convention.
Ah, okay, so it's not just a U.S. thing.
Definitely not. These core concepts apply pretty much anywhere you operate digitally. This exclusive right means only the creator can print, adapt, sell, and distribute copies of their work. Think of it as like intellectual property's VIP pass. Nobody else, including you listening, can legally use that work without explicit permission. There are only really two main exceptions. If the copyright has officially expired, putting the work into the public domain, or if you've obtained a valid license from the owner. And that permission, it isn't optional, it's a legal requirement. And the ramifications for disregarding this, they're not just inconvenient, they're truly severe, multi-layered too. First, your painstakingly crafted content could be abruptly taken down from YouTube, Instagram, your website, wherever.
Right, disrupting everything.
Exactly. Disrupting your campaigns, leaving this sudden, awkward gap in your marketing. Second, you may face significant fines and damages payable directly to the copyright holder. These can escalate quickly, especially if the infringement is seen as willful. Third, your company could face direct legal action. That means costly legal battles, huge stress, and a potential public relations nightmare that can overshadow even your best marketing efforts. And in some rare, more serious cases, there is even the risk your activities could be monitored to prevent future violations. Basically putting your brand under a microscope.
Oof.
Yeah, limiting your creative freedom down the line.
Wow, those are some heavy consequences. It really drives home that this isn't just about, good manners or vague rules. It's a direct threat to your brand's foundation, its reputation, and financial stability. So when we say don't just use anything you find online, it's not hyperbole, it's a warning about very real, very costly threats. It should truly underpin every piece of content you consider for your marketing. And while visual content can certainly land you in hot water, there's another domain where the rules get even more intricate. and where marketers often stumble? Music. Let's really dive into the music minefield because, Yeah, here's where it gets really interesting.
You're absolutely right. Music has this layered complexity to its copyright that catches so many people off guard. When you're thinking about using a song in your marketing, you're not just dealing with one copyright. Often you're dealing with two distinct types that you must respect. First, you have the publishing rights. These pertain to the actual musical composition who wrote the song, the melody, the lyrics. Think songwriters, they're publishers.
Okay, the song itself.
Exactly. Second, there are the master rights. These refer to who owns the actual specific recording of that song. This typically belongs to the record label or maybe the artist who produced that particular version. So this means to legally use a song in your ad, a social media reel, any video content, you typically need to get separate licenses from both of these parties.
Both? Okay.
Both. And as you can imagine, securing these licenses, especially for popular tracks by well-known artists, can quickly become incredibly expensive, often making it prohibitive for most marketing budgets.
Right, I could see that. The costs could be astronomical.
Yeah, so high that many brands just can't afford the original recording they might want.
That's a vital distinction to remember. It's not just one person or entity you need permission from.
Right.
It's often this dual negotiation. Now, you mentioned our sources had a clever strategy many brands use to navigate these music licensing costs using cover versions. Can you explain why that works and maybe give us an example?
Absolutely. The pro tip many brands employ is to commission or license a cover version of a popular song. This works because, well, while the composition, the melody and lyrics is still protected by those publishing rights,
Right.
the master recording is new. It's owned by whoever created that cover version. So you still need to license the publishing rights, but you avoid the often exorbitant cost of licensing the original master recording from a major label.
Ah, clever.
It is. A fantastic example, and we'll often cite it, is the John Lewis Christmas commercial featuring Lily Allen's cover of Somewhere Only We Know.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, they captured all the emotional resonance of the original Keane song without needing to pay for that original recording, which, would have been significantly more expensive.
That's a brilliant workaround. So, building on that idea of avoiding the licensing headache, what other practical options do marketers have if, say, creating cover versions isn't feasible or doesn't fit the campaign?
Right. Beyond cover versions, there are several other practical and, importantly, legal options to avoid these headaches and costs altogether. One is pretty straightforward. Simply create your own music.
Custom music.
Exactly. This is a fantastic way to develop original branding, a unique auditory identity for your company. Think of it like building your own sonic logo. Another excellent option, and it's increasingly popular, is to use royalty-free music libraries. Platforms like Epidemic Sound or Audio Jungle, they offer vast selections of tracks. You typically pay a single fee or a subscription,
Okay.
and then you can use the music without worrying about ongoing royalty payments for every single use. You get broad usage rights for a fixed, often quite affordable cost. And then there's a timeless solution, classical music.
Bach and Beethoven.
Precisely. The copyright on much of the classical repertoire composers like Bach, Beethoven, Mozart has long expired. This generally places it in the public domain.
Meaning free to use?
Generally, yes, free to use without needing licenses for the composition itself. However, always be mindful that specific recordings of classical music might still have master rights attached.
Oh, right. The performance itself.
Exactly. So if you're using a specific orchestra's recording from, say, last year, you might still need permission for that particular performance, even if the underlying music is public domain.
These strategies, then, aren't just about avoiding legal trouble, are they?
Not at all.
They're really about empowering you, the listener, to create engaging, emotionally resonant content that truly connects with your audience, all without that constant anxiety of potential legal repercussions. It's about finding creative freedom within smart, compliant boundaries.
Okay, moving beyond music, let's turn our attention to the visual landscape. Because just like a perfectly composed score, images and videos come with their own intricate set of rights and restrictions, crucial for marketers to understand. It's definitely not as simple as right-clicking and saving, is it?
Indeed. For marketers, understanding the different types of image and video licenses is paramount. The nuances can make all the difference. You'll primarily encounter, let's say, 3 major categories. First, there's the royalty-free license. This is probably the most common and often the most convenient for general marketing use. You typically pay for it once, and then you can use the content multiple times across various campaigns, often with no limit on distribution. But you always need to check the specific terms from the provider.
Always read the fine print. Always. It's essentially a buy once, use many model, but with potential caveats. Second, we have the rights managed license. Now, this is a much more tailored and, frankly, complex approach. With a rights managed license, you negotiate very specific terms where the content can be used, website, print ad, social media, when for 6 months, 1 year, and for how long.
Much more specific.
Very specific. This provides a much higher degree of control for the person licensing it out, and it's often used for high-value or exclusive imagery where usage needs to be carefully tracked. The cost usually scales with the scope and duration of use. And third, there's the Creative Commons license, often abbreviated as CC. These licenses are often free to use, which sounds great.
But there's a catch.
There's always a catch, right? They come with very specific terms that must be followed. Misinterpreting them can still lead to infringement. For marketers, understanding the common acronyms is key. CC BY means you must credit the original creator. CCNC means no commercial use. CCND means no derivative works, you can't adapt or modify it. And CCSA means if you adapt the work, you have to share your new creation under the same license.
Wow, okay. Lots to keep track of.
Absolutely vital to read and understand the specific CC terms before using anything. Free license doesn't mean free of restrictions.
That distinction, especially within Creative Commons, is so important. Many people assume free just means unrestricted. But for the absolute safest and most original approach, our sources really emphasize creating your own original content. How do they suggest brands achieve this? And what are the benefits beyond just avoiding legal issues?
Yeah, this is where strategy really meets compliance. Brands like Apple, for example, are masters of this. They produce their own custom music, footage, images for their campaigns. And this isn't just about avoiding legal headaches, it's a proactive, strategic choice. It lets them maintain complete creative control, ensure absolute originality, and build a truly unique brand identity.
Total control.
Total control. When you own the content from concept to execution, you dictate every aspect of its usage. You ensure it perfectly aligns with your brand voice and message. No external constraints or risks.
Okay, but what if creating everything from scratch isn't feasible for every project or budget? Which, let's be honest, is often the case for many businesses. What are some trusted alternatives then?
That's a very real scenario. If full-scale original creation isn't always possible, there are still excellent and trusted resources. We definitely recommend platforms like Unsplash or Pexels.
Ah, yes, I heard of those.
They offer a wealth of high-quality images and videos that are genuinely royalty-free, explicitly cleared for a broad range of uses. They really take the guesswork out of the equation. They are a much, much safer alternative to risking infringement by just pulling random content from the web. And they can be invaluable tools for marketers operating with tighter budgets or timelines.
So after this pretty comprehensive look, what does this all mean for your day-to-day marketing operations? How do you actually stay compliant and proactively protect your brand from infringement in, the hustle of daily content creation? Let's shift focus to some practical, actionable steps you can implement starting today.
Absolutely. The key here really is proactive prevention, embedding copyright awareness into your daily workflow. First, and this is fundamental, educate your team. Ensure everyone involved in content creation and publishing, social media managers, graphic designers, everyone understands the basics of copyright, the license types, and what's expected when they source any media.
Get everyone on the same page.
Exactly. This could involve quick internal guidelines, maybe a shared resource stock, or even just a brief quarterly workshop. A little bit of knowledge goes a very long way in preventing costly mistakes. Second, implement a content review process before publishing. This should just be standard practice. Before anything goes live, establish a final check where content is specifically scrutinized for potential copyright issues.
Makes sense. Catch it early.
Far easier and cheaper to catch problems at this stage than to deal with a takedown notice, a cease and desist letter, or worse, a lawsuit later. Maybe consider having a dedicated copyright guardian on your team for larger campaigns. Third, leverage technology. Tools like Google Reverse Image Search can quickly help you check an image's origin. It often reveals if it's copyrighted or has existing licensing info attached. It's a fast, free, first line of defense. And finally, maybe the simplest rule of thumb. Stick exclusively to royalty-free or properly licensed content from trusted sources. This removes almost all the guesswork. It minimizes your legal risks significantly. If you're ever unsure about the rights to a piece of content, the safest, smartest decision is always don't use it.
When in doubt, leave it out.
Precisely. Always better to err on the side of extreme caution when your brand's reputation is on the line.
This might sound like, a lot of extra steps to add to your already busy schedule, but honestly, spending those few extra minutes on compliance now is such a crucial investment. It will save you significant time, money, and stress in the long run. It protects your brand's integrity and ensures its future growth. It's about building a robust, ethical, and sustainable marketing strategy.
And that leads us to a broader strategic point that's, well, truly fascinating. What's often overlooked is that the easiest and most robust way to avoid copyright issues altogether is simply to be unique.
Ah,
In a world saturated with templated content and generic visuals, originality isn't just about avoiding lawsuits. It's your ultimate strategic advantage.
that's a profound insight. Original content offers benefits far beyond just legal protection, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
When your visuals, your music, your messaging are custom-made, unique to your brand, it creates an unmistakable identity. It makes you stand out from the noise, cuts through the clutter, and fosters deep memorability. Think about it. Your audience is far more likely to remember a brand with a distinctive voice, custom imagery, a unique soundscape, than one that relies on generic stock photos and trending, but totally overused music. It builds a deeper connection.
Precisely. This is why you see top companies consistently investing heavily in their own music, animation, bespoke photography, design assets. It's not merely about sidestepping potential lawsuits. It's a fundamental strategic decision to build profound brand equity.
It's part of the brand itself.
Exactly. Original content becomes an integral, irreplaceable part of their brand identity. It makes them distinctive, authentic, and memorable in an incredibly crowded marketplace. It's about owning your narrative, visually and audibly, and creating something truly proprietary that resonates deeply with your audience.
So that brings us to our provocative thought for you to ponder after today's deep dive. In your marketing efforts right now, do you find yourself relying heavily on templates, generic stock images, and random downloads, or are you actively creating unique content that truly sets your brand apart and builds that lasting equity? That's a wrap for today's deep dive. If today's deep dive got you thinking, here's what to do next. Follow us on Instagram at SalesEra Global for daily marketing tips and updates. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for tutorials, strategies, and success stories. Visit www.salesera.net to work with our team. We'll help you build copyright-safe campaigns that drive real results. Remember, the more proactive you are about copyright, licensing, and usage rights, the more freedom you have to create and grow your business. Thank you for tuning in to Navigating the Eon of Marketing. Stay smart, stay curious, and stay ahead, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.